Hi, this is Ralph, and I want to go over a few basic drawing tools and selection tools that you might use in Flash. There's a number of things on this toolbar. There's the obviously Selection Tool, keystroke V, Subselection Tool, keystroke A. That comes in handy when you want to skew or change some shapes of some drawn objects. And let's start off here. I'm just on a blank layer on a blank stage. I'm going to go over to the Oval tool, and let's go ahead and choose a Rectangle tool. And by default, when I choose this rectangle tool, it's going to be called a merge shape, and I'll show you why. Notice I've got a blue fill and a green stroke. The stroke is the border. So let me just go ahead and draw rectangle. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and create another merge shape. This one will have a reddish fill and a orange stroke. And I'll draw rectangle right over there. So I've got these two rectangles with borders, and they're merge shapes. Let me go to Selection Tool V. And if I click once on my blue square, notice that the blue interior gets selected. That's a feature of a merge shape. You can select the borders and the fill separately. So if I double click on the border, I've selected the entire border. If I click once on a border, you can select just one side and move it away. I'll go ahead and Control Z to undo that. Now let's try this. I can also select the fill, move that out. Control Z to undo that. Now here's a really interesting feature. If I double click on the fill, I'll select the fill and the border, and I'm going to take this merge shape and move it slightly on top of my other merge shape. Click away, double click on my merge shape, blue box, green border, move it back away, and notice how I've cut away a portion of the other merge shape. As far as Flash is concerned, why try to remember all the bytes of data if it can't even be seen? So this could be a cool feature or a headache for you, especially beginning in Flash drawing, because obviously you may want this to happen. You can create some interesting designs by cutting away portions of other shapes. But if it becomes a problematic, then the key would be to put your merged shapes on two separate layers. That kind of preserves them. Now I can also use my selection tool and put it on the border of one of these shapes, and notice how I can bend it out. There we go. Bend it in. Let's go over to this one. Bend that in. Bend this out. So you can really create some nice curves and some new and unusual shapes. Okay, I've got my selection tool. I'm going to go ahead and draw a box around both of these merged shapes and delete them, so I'm back to a blank stage. Let's show you a slight little variation. Got my rectangle tool, keystroke R, and this time I'm going to click my drawing object. There are merged shapes and there's drawn objects. Let me go ahead and click this, and now when I draw a rectangle, it looks pretty much like the other one before, but notice it has this thin border around it. If I go to Selection Tool V, click away, and then click on this, selecting a drawn object looks different than selecting a merged shape. When you select a merged shape, you get all those little dots. When you select a drawn object, you get a border around it. And notice that I can't select just the fill or the border separately. I can still skew parts of it, so I do still have those characteristics. I can also use Subselection Tool A, click on the border of my drawn object, and I get little handles on the corners where I can also manipulate the points and the angles here. So the Subselection tool gives you a lot more options on a drawn object. Okay, go back to my selection tool, select, delete. Now let's check this out. I'm going to go to a brush tool, and I'll just keep whatever my defaults are, and let me just go ahead and draw a brush line. Notice it's a drawn object. The border should give it away. I'm going to unclick my object drawing button, keystroke J, draw another one right beneath it. It's a little bit different. Let me go to Selection Tool. If I click on my first brush stroke, it's clearly a drawn object. If I click on my second brush stroke, it's a merge shape. Interesting. So you can create your own shapes with the brush stroke, and whether it's a drawn object or a merge shape. Let me use Selection Tool, select, delete. Let's go to the pencil tool for a moment. Let me change my colors here. And let's see, I've got it on ink mode. Let me go to straighten mode and just give you an idea of what's going to happen. I'll just draw a straight line. Oh, I forgot I changed the wrong one. I changed the fill and not the pencil or stroke color. But it's okay, I've got a drawing here. It's close to straight. But look at that, Flash straightens it out for me. So you just do your best effort getting a straight line, Flash helps you out. Let's go to the smoothing option. There you go. It can keep a slight bend, but it cleans it up a little bit, so it looks just looks a little bit nicer for you. And of course, then we have ink mode. It'll smooth things out a little bit, but it doesn't help you so much. It'll really keep some of the jaggedness in there. So if you're really artistic, you might go this route if you really just want to make sure that you get what you're drawing. I'll use my selection tool, draw a box around all of these, and delete them. Okay. And now that we've played with a few of these tools, you can start to create your own artwork. I would encourage you to look on the web for some various drawings and also some guides on how to draw, particularly with Flash. BradFitzpatrick.com has a lot of great stuff out there. And I'll put a link in the sidebar for that.